See what Atlantis want, more interestingly enough, and they'll go down the Ursa route, fair enough. I still wonder what the point of this AM Medusa ban was from Atlantis, now that I'm looking back at it, like, what is this for?
I mean, AM gone, and then they ban out Medusa instead of trying to pick it up themselves, waste the
Yeah.
ban of TNC. It's an interesting one. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they've seen it in scrims.
Maybe.
Who knows? Maybe we'll find out on the last pick. Like, I don't see too much flex left for Atlantis if they wanted something like the Storm. And Storm is kind of dead since the nulls were taken off, Mike. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they were expecting, like, an off-lane AM? I don't know if that's something Bach even plays. He could.
Never seen.
Yeah, before that ban phase, right? He could have. Maybe in scrims, but I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe Atlantis is just feeling confident. They're like, all right, want to see a meme? We'll ban AM, then we'll ban Medusa, and we won't pick Storm. Haha, gotcha!
Very good indeed. TNC Predator. Final ban outs to come. They'll get rid of the LC for now. Atlantis. I mean, it seems like they've just been kind of focusing on the... Well, they banned the Viper. Now they banned the Veno, so really just not liking those green heroes here for the support role that's been left here for TNC Predator.
Yeah, to be fair, those are really good laners against the Ursa, but are they expecting a Brewmaster support? I mean, Mavis has done that a couple of times before, if I recall right, so maybe? That sounds super awkward just to have a winning lane against the Ursa. I still think Brewmaster is not too bad in that lane, but Brewmaster Monkey can be alright. Cinder Brew plus Boundless or Tree Dance could be good, but you don't want to fully commit onto the Ursa with 2 melee heroes as well, with a potential for Inkswell or just Dispose from Mercy. So that could be a slower lane for TNC, and Atlantis are just covering their bases, ensuring TNC won't find a way to recuperate that lane.
Well, TNC, 1 minute left of reserve time to make this decision. You just want someone that can kind of activate the Cinder Brew, right? Like, then again, you're probably going to have Pos 4 Monkey King anyway. I suppose you could throw it into the Pos 5 role. So anything that can activate the Cinder Brew from a mile away is always going to be nice with the Brewmaster. They'll go down the Shaman route. So it should be a Pos 4 Monkey, but you never know. They could still mix things up. Shaman can be very, very annoying for the Void Spirit, and of course, even the Ursa, and the Marcy for that matter. Very, very annoying hero to have to go up against. Atlantis, how do they want to finish things off? They need a Pos 3 of some sort, it seems.
Don't have too many options left. I think they severely lack bigger teamfight control in comparison to the Dream Coil of Wukongs here from TNC and the Brewmaster split from Brewmaster, of course. So, wondering what they want for WS. Again, the Morris would have been good, but they banned in the first phase. No Dawnbreaker option, considering what WS was trying to pull off in that last game. Sand King has kind of fallen off a cliff. Like, we don't see that here too often. Lane against Terrorblade is also not particularly amazing. Maybe something like a Night Stalker could be good. Just gives you scouting for the Monkey King when you pop Dark Ascension. Blink onto the puck with Silence. Blink onto the Shadow Shaman to prevent the Shackles could be nice as well. Or even just onto the Brewmaster. Like, the pre-BKB for Brewmaster, it's going to feel really hard for Bach to kind of split. So a Night Stalker could be one foil if they wanted to go for that. There's a Doom option as well for Double Soul, Double Doom, but they go to DP. So should be our offlane DP for WS. Lanes nicely into Terrorblade. Magic damage to deal with the Terrorblade early on. It is Mavis playing the Monkey King and Carlo on the Shadow Shaman. That should be a Pons 4 Shadow Shaman with Mavis on the hard 5 Monkey King. Keen to see how a Monkey King Terrorblade lane works out. There is some early aggression. Reflection plus Tree Dance on top. The slows are good. The damage can fly through, especially once you hit level 2. With Metamorphosis, so you could be aggressive in that lane, but up against a Death Prophet can be a bit tougher, especially since at least one of your heroes are, I mean, technically both your heroes are melee. So once WS has level 3, Spirit Siphon should be able to save for the most part. And a lot less spicy for draft, Mike. No more Pos 1 Pudge. So neither side wants to lose this one.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see who plays a lot better here.
Well, I mean, this series is very important for either team, right? Like, everyone's trying to remain within Div 2 right now, if not move up to Div 1. So kind of important to try and pull off this series victory here for either side, and we'll see how it pans out. Two more kind of even drafts, two more normal drafts, I'd argue, and you know, John, I kind of lean towards TNC's draft this game around. I feel like the team fight's just superior. I like TB late game, just very strong in the safe lane, or rather just laning stage in general now as well. Do you disagree? Do you think Atlantis maybe came out with a better draft this time around, John, or are you kind of heading the other way?
No, I think if it goes ultra late, you're going to have an issue with your Ursa being kited around. Like Terrorblade with Metamorphosis, you've got Shadow Shaman, you have a lot of stuns, you have a lot of area denial. That makes it hellish for an Ursa to just run around, do the damage you want to do. So I think TNC should be able to handle Mangroves in this game, but that's towards like the ultra late game. I think there's an interim period by, say, 25 minutes where Atlantis can feel stronger, 20 to 25 minutes actually, where an early itemization on your Ursa, if you don't go for the Battle Fury build-up, it will overwhelm you. So it's down to how Mangroves itemizes and how the lanes break out. I think the laning phase is going to be key to kind of enable that Ursa to make that decision on whether or not he wants something like Blink Diffusal, Mask of Madness, or if you want something more like the Battle Fury that we've seen throughout the day.
We'll get into it, John. Game number 3 here, the deciding game between Atlantis and TNC Predator. Immediate 5-on-5 smoke situation, but it'll probably be just for a bit of a warding run as... Yeah, I gotta point out, the sportsmanship from both teams have been very good as these games start, Jonathan. Everyone giving good luck, have fun every single time, so very, very good to see. And been a bit of a friendly banter earlier, I believe, between these two. So it's always a pleasure seeing some friendly conversation between the two teams.
Yeah, it's always good to see that. And getting a lot of them on the line, as you mentioned there, Mike. But even, oh my god.
Is that Neff?
Neff Sensei.
Oh.
What a lovely voice line.
Why would you play that voice line? It literally makes no sense. Well, Wildcard Gaming obviously lucky enough to come up with the other voice line, John, that everyone loves, but that Neff one, I don't know about that. Kind of wish there was a refund button for that one. Send it back. Give me one of those BZZ Pugna sets for it or something, you know?
Oh, you know, that's true enough. Maybe
Mango?
It gets gold, Mike.
Oh, Mango Rose. Ursa. Oh, Earthshock down to the low ground, and Carlo doesn't bother trying to skill up Shackles to hold him down, so Mango's going to be just fine, but is he not available to try and contest that bounty route? On that TNC. Able to walk away with 2 for 2. Very even start between these two teams. Shall we start with the bot lane, Jonathan? You're going to have Ayad there, of course, along with WS, and they're going to be against the POS 1 TB of Yoe, and that will be supported by the position 5 Monkey King, of course. What do you think about this bottom lane, Jonathan? Who does it really favor?
It can go both ways. I feel like level 2 for TNC is a lot stronger. While you have WS only stuck in level 1 Spirit Siphon, there's an opening here to play with Tree Dance, to maybe build up Jingu, play with Reflection Metamorphosis. Could be one way to get that lane working here for the side of TNC. But once WS has levels, the stun plays can kick in. And they actually go for a Jingu start along with Metamorphosis early on for Yoes. They want to secure the early farm. That should give some breathing room for the level 2 spike for WS, as Metamorphosis won't line up with the Reflection use at that point. And WS should be able to just farm, go for the Spirit Siphon play. It can be threatening from Atlantis as well. We saw that Dispose, just giving that opening for a good chase down in the Spirit Siphon is always scary. And you are technically running 2 melee heroes up against a DP, so WS should feel pretty safe as long as Metamorphosis is down.
I actually don't mind the Jingu level up as well from Mavis, though, if I might add, John. Like, considering you're going to be fighting Ayad mostly on this Marcy, though, as I say that, he does kind of get caught out, but he's still going to be fine to just walk away. The Jingu does make enough sense against the POS 4 Marcy. Kind of allows him to trade decently against his hero, and I still do agree that Atlantis probably does have a pretty decent advantage here with the DP off lane. Still, let's head over to the other lanes as well. Of course, mid lane, Christian Wonderboy are going to be going at it on the Void Spirit and the Puck. Anything to keep an eye out on in this mid lane, Jonathan?
Not too much. We've seen this matchup a couple of times. It is slightly Puck favored, but not too bad for the Void Spirit. You can outplay here if you land a Remnant, get some harassment off. It can be workable for the Void Spirit. Rune Control is a more important aspect. I think when it comes down to that, both sides have pretty damn good supports to rotate in. So it's all just down to who has the opening to help secure that 4-6 minute Power Rune, 8-minute Power Rune as well, and just kind of run from there and play around with those level 6 spikes.
Bot lane. Mavis dropping rather low there on the Monkey King, but is going to be fine to just walk his way out. And it does give us a chance to look at the top lane. Of course, you're going to have Mango Rose and Ponyo against Bok and Carlo. Mango Rose, it's been a bit of a slower start in terms of CS, but looks like he's doing just fine. Should remain protected unless he gets caught out with the Cinder Brew into the shackles. Which is probably why he's sitting back and being very cautious here against the Brewmaster Shaman. Any way to play this lane in particular, John, for Atlantis' end of things?
I think for Atlantis, you wait for level 4. That feels like a pretty good spike for you to get aggressive yourself. Level 2 Furious Wipes, Value Point, and Overpower. Play with the Jump Over and the Inkswell, and you could maybe threaten onto Bok. That should also line up with Ponyo maybe having a Value Point and a Phantom's Embrace to cancel off the Shackles. So that gives you a good way of stopping that counter control from TNC. And overall, you're also just kind of happy with a farming lane. Like, Bok is getting a little bit more than you'd want, already having that early burn. You don't want to see that build up on the Brewmasters. We've seen a lot of Brewmasters be highly disruptive. And again, you just Cyclone up the Ursa, suddenly that investment on that pause 1 just disappears. You have to be cautious though.
Yeah, Bok. I'm trying to move in here onto Mango Rose, but now the turnaround is there with the Inkswell and the Earthshock. They're going to move in onto the Brewmaster. Do they have the damage? Mango Rose seems to believe he does, and he's going to go for the chase, but Bok is going to go down as Mango Rose eventually should be traded. It'll be a bit of a slower process, but they'll get it done. Still a very nice start here for the Ursa. They do secure first blood onto the Brewmaster, and I suppose that's always a scary thing about trying to initiate onto the Ursa. So you can always turn back around with the Inkswell, and it's kind of hard to survive the onslaught. Though bot lane now, Aya trying to move in onto Yoe is not going to be able to get the job done. Mavis, though, dropping quite low himself on the Monkey King, but is going to be able to Fairy Fire up and walk out of there. So another kill across the map here for TNC.
Starting to get some aggression going, as we talked about. There is potential to be aggressive with a Terribly at this point. You line up your Metamorphosis used with a Reflection, maybe get a good Boundless and Tree Dance on top. Fairly easy to chase down and punish that Marcy. I am a bit interested in the build-up here for Mango Rose, though, Mike. With that first blood, it looks like he is queuing up Power Treads into the battlefield, so he still wants to play a bit of a farm game. They do manage to punish Mavis in the end. A little bit more coming out the way of WS. Suppose you're pretty happy with that, but you have to be concerned about Yoa's farm here as well. Despite Mango Rose trying to go for that investment in Battle Fury, Yoa is still having a stronger lane. That should lead to some earlier spikes for Yoa. Dragonlance into the Yasha Manta. Starts to feel comfy on that hero.
You get to a point as well, we kind of always bring up the Iascati timing, but you get the Iascati up and suddenly the Ursa just kind of gets kited around in these fights. Never a fun time as the Ursa once the Scotty is up on the TB. See how it all pans out though. And keep in mind, there's extra value for the Skadi as well against the Death Prophet. You're always going to enjoy having that kind of the passive available on that Skadi. So it's going to be a bit of a scary time here, I think, for Atlantis. But like you mentioned, the Battle Fury build up on the Ursa, plenty of time to try and catch his way up. Not too far behind yet. You kind of wonder whether Atlantis intends on playing a bit more of an aggressive game as well. Like, even if they go for the Battle Fury, we saw Mango Rose in Game 1 farm very, very fast once he did have that initial Battle Fury up, so he did tend to go very aggressive right after. I believe it was Blink into Basher and all the sorts, so you wonder if he kind of does the same here. It doesn't feel like you really want to go too late into a Terrorblade this game, as Carlo, topside, is going to get chased down, and Wonderboy is going to commit for this. Nice Aether Remnant to connect, and well, eventually they should have the Shaman. In the meantime, Mavis actually finding Aya down a bot lane, and Carlo, he's taking a bit more time than you would have expected to be taken down, but eventually will be taken out. Meanwhile, Krish now going to show up and just trade. Ponyo. Oh, look at this. He's trying for the deny. Krish is going to be very patient about this. Ponyo, no, he's not going to get away. Krish, he takes the aggro.
You should have known that. Yet
That was cute.
Yeah. Good spirits from both sides, understanding that conundrum. I wanted to see how long they were willing to just stand there. Honestly, I feel like Krish should just have stayed still. Ponyo as well, though. They catch Wonderboy with a bottle refill here.
But they do. Silence will connect, but they don't have the follow-up damage. Keep in mind, John, while we were laughing about that down at bot lane, they actually ended up taking down Yoe on the TB, and that's massive for Atlantis.
They get the aggression. They know without the backup of the Monkey King to interrupt them, they can kind of get some good punishment. Yoe, at the point where he might just consider the jungle, is already TPing into said jungle, and does pop the meter, giving that free lane over to WS. This is the point where Atlantis starts to meet some early timings.
Mango
Level
Rose.
6 lining up from the DP, although.
Yeah, top lane. Shackles is going to be there, and Krish, of course, going to go for a quick rotation out. Does commit the coil, and the Ursa. Well, he'll try to turn back onto Bok, but it is not going to work in his favor. Nice rotation from Krish. That's a bit rough for Mango. Like, you're trying to go for the kill, but you've got to keep in mind this puck is just so mobile, and the low cooldowns, you can never really underestimate where Krish is.
You have to respect that mobility out, respect that jump potential early on from Krish. You do manage to punish that Ursa for being a little bit solo up there. And the farming pace is going to be a concern. You are still fairly close with Mangaros and Yoru right now in net for it, but the Battle Fury is still a ways off. And the TV doesn't need something big like that to farm in the jungle. He just plays with the illusions. So if you lose out in Mangaros a couple more times, then the stall out on that Battle Fury starts to hurt more and more. Just going to be playing in the jungle as well, both pawns once, starting to get some early farm. And both sides kind of lining up for the tier 1 trade. It does feel a little bit quicker for Atlantis with the EXO, but I don't see the value point being taken up for WS just yet.
Ponyo now in trouble top lane. Bok trying to move in, but he's forced to kind of back his way out as Ponyo. Actually going to be fine for now, but Bok's not going to give up on this. Problem is Ponyo's actually juked him out. Bok, he's kind of stuck now in the tree line. He'll just go for the creeps instead. Ponyo, very nice little play, and well, for Bok, he could have committed the Brewmaster split if he really wanted the kill. He's still chasing, but no urn charges to pop the Cinder Brew. Again, if he really wants it, he could pop the ulti, but it's just not worth his time right now for Bok.
Yeah. And great stalling from Ponyo. They're still trying to commit for a little bit more of a shove up top. And Bok is again running in with a creep wave, watching him. Ponyo, is he going to juke again?
Oh, Krish is here this time.
No
Surely
way.
they've got him. Now, they've got him this time, John. Krish will get it done. Had Krish not shown up, though, I believe he would have juked them out once again. Problem is, in the meantime, WS, he just pops the ulti and goes right after the tier 1 tower. Bok is going to show up now with the Brewmaster split and try and chase down the DP. Question is, does he have enough damage with the Spirit Siphons going? It doesn't seem like the answer's going to be yes. In fact, they even found Mavis on the Monkey King. He will drop. And now Bok, he's going to try and rely on the Storm Panda to get out of there, I think. But no, instead he goes back towards the Earth. Ayad is going to be around. Disposed now available, but was on cooldown at the time. Instead, they'll handle the Shaman. Serpent Wards were committed. They don't want to waste their time chasing the Brewmaster. They'll take what they can get, but they got a hell of a lot down at that bot lane, John. 2 hero kills plus the tier 1 bot.
2 hero kills. Tier 1 bot, 2 ults expended as well from TNC. You're not getting anything with wards now. You're not getting a push of your own. You do manage to find the top tier 1, but you'd love to be able to swing around towards mid while Exorcism is down. Yo is at mid, does have the Metamorphosis on hand. It doesn't have any major items up yet. Only the Wraith Band plus the Power Treads and 1 band of Elven Skin. Not the tankiest TB. Has to respect the damage output here from the side of Atlantis. They still are playing bot though.
They are. Mavis having a look around for a target. Not quite going to find one. This DP, you don't get to see it much in Div 1, but these Div 2 games, they've just had Death Prophet written all over them, and has proved to be very, very powerful today, that's for sure. Yoet, Terrorblade, just farming himself up in the triangle right now, trying to abuse the Metamorphosis. Mango Rose kind of doing the exact same thing on the Ursa, just trying to farm up that Battle Fury. Keep in mind though, Mango Rose is actually ahead in net worth, John, and this is the slowest farming point for the Ursa. That Battle Fury is going to come out sooner rather than later, and in a few minutes, you are going to have a big problem on your hands if you're TNC.
Yeah, and really able to apply pressure onto Mango Rose while he's in the jungle. You could argue the same for the Terrorblade, but Yoe will be able to overcome. Like, he should be able to get that lead going. But Mango Rose isn't too far behind from equalizing, so you're kind of happy with all this aggression being focused down bot. Like, look at all the heroes from TNC playing in the bot jungle. That's not where the Ursa's farming, so that's not where they're really wanting to hunt. They might find WS, though.
They may. WS gonna get caught. It's a great pick off here for TNC Predator. I'll take it. Top side, however, bit of a smoke coming out. Yoe, oh, this could be an even bigger kill. Yoe has been caught, silenced up. Sadly, Carlo left at the exact wrong moment. He was not around to break the smoke, and Yoe gonna die for the 2nd time already. Mid
Big
lane.
kill for Atlantis. Oh.
Chris tries to jump in, but the rebound was there. Go on, John.
And that's the big difference, right? Like, they hunt down the Terrorblade, whereas Ursa's just completely untouched. You sacrifice your DP, you don't care. The Battle Fury is coming out, the farm's going to escalate, the build-up is there.
Now they just coil up the Marcy this time. No playing around here from Krish. He'll pick up his 5th kill of the game. In fact, he found another. The Grimstroke being caught out. Krish not actually going to connect. No, he does. The Aether Remnant will hold him down, and now Mango Rose going to show up. They take down the puck. The Ursa, however, Mango Rose, he'll enrage up, but can he run out? Stun up. He'll stick charge, though. He is surviving. Mavis, he's going to drop. Carlo, not looking too healthy either, will go down. And somehow they do not find the Ursa. He got the enrage off just in time, and they just couldn't get enough damage out.
And as you mentioned, Mike, this is probably the lowest point for the Ursa. No Battle Fury, no lifesteal, can't sustain long in a fight, still manages to live through. And TNC just get punished for overextending, trying to go for more after that tier 1 kill on the Marcy. Smoke opportunity out for Atlantis. They know the split is out from the brew. No Wukongs yet for a while, and no wards. They might find something big here if they get a good flank. Is pretty dark on the map, though. No forward wards from Atlantis. Could just be a bit of a warding run here.
TNC Predator, they're going to hold the low ground at least, and they're going to go for a smoke of their own here, John. Head toward the north. In fact, no, they want to wrap around the mid lane and try to focus down that tier 1 mid tower. WS does not have exorcism, so it's a bit of a hard fight to try and force. But he may get caught out if he gets spotted here in the mid lane, but does see the Brewmaster first, so does back his way out. Now Carlo, understanding where Mango Rose is going to try and set up for an attempt here. He does need some help, but he'll go with their Hex out first. Into the shackles, and Mavis will be around, but the immediate TPs are there. Atlantis not going to allow it. They do at least get the time, though, to get that mid-tier 1 tower here, TNC. And that is kind of what they came for anyway. So they get away with what they wanted. Sure, they don't find the kill into the Ursa, but you can't get everything you want. In the end, they kind of are slowing down Mango Rose in terms of farm anyway. Yoa has overtaken now.
Yeah, but Battle Fury is up for Mango Rose, so you're not going to mind too much. You're going to be able to catch up relatively quickly on the Ursa, going for the Blink BKB Basher next. I like that build-up. If he does manage to at least get the Blink BKB, it becomes very tough to hold him down in the middle of these fights. Brewmaster's presence just gets removed. You're not going to be able to Cyclone up a BKB Bear. They find Mavis.
They do. They're all Mavis. He's trying for the D ward before he does go down, and I believe he actually got it, funnily enough, but they are going to get the Observer ward anyway in the end. Just have to commit another sentry there for Ponyo. Mavis going to drop once again on the pos 5 Monkey King. It'll be an 8-11 now. 2k net worth lead to TNC. I suppose, again, you're just kind of playing the TB game. I mean, Yoe's already got the Eye of Skadi queued up anyway. Again, once he has that up, he's going to be a real nuisance. Till then, though, you've seen Mango Rose farm with this Ursa. It's still scary. As top lane, they're going to find Carlo.
Just feeding off the supports. That's not the hero you want to be feeding kills to, though. Wonder Boy is going to be able to find a quick timing on that Ags. That silence we've seen multiple times here, Mike. Very impactful, especially since BKBs are still a long ways off for the side of TNC. If you do allow that Void Spirit to hit that item spike, it's going to feel pretty damn scary to fight into that AoE control. Kind of fixing a couple of issues for Atlantis in these wider fights. For TNC, I mean, you're still happy about this progress on Yoa. He is, again, still drawing even with the Ursa Battle Fury. It is still a fairly fresh Battle Fury. You kind of want the item lead. You do want that Scotty up and running. The one thing for TNC that's not happening here, Mike, is they're not able to take fights near objectives to use the wards. You've seen Carlo just drop them in the middle, forced to use them to deny area control away. Doesn't do much, and they need the objectives to really stop that Ursa's farm here.
TNC, big smoke out. Back into the mid lane they go, but Atlantis again seem to be very well aware that this is happening. It might have been under vision. Instead, they're going to try for Roshan. TNC, they'll start with the Serpent Wards out. Not as easy as it used to be with the Serpent Wards, but it's certainly still a hell of a lot of damage with these wards out. Nice scan out here from the side of TNC to know exactly where Atlantis are. They wrap around through the triangle, but Yoe is there to break the smoke. Problem is, he may get caught out with his pants down. Wonder Boy will jump in with the Inkswell. Do they have enough? No! Yoe, he's going to survive! The combo wasn't enough. They didn't stick around to try and finish the job. Now, Ayub, he just jumps in. He just couldn't find the Aegis.
Yeah, a little bit awkward. Wonder Boy bailed out just a bit too early to try to find that kill. Maybe worried about the Sunder more.
BKB, he'll just run straight through the coil and gonna be just fine. Very messy engagement there from Atlantis, and they get punished heavily. The only positive being Mango Rose is still hitting creeps.
Yeah, number one in that fort. Ursa does have the blink flying out now, so he should be able to jump on top of these enemies relatively quickly. Still needs the BKB to really be secure. Atlantis still in a position to kind of force a fight up top, but TNC is kind of replying back, escorting Yoa to find that farm. Although, Wonder Boy.
Carlo. Let's get taken down. They won't try for Yoe. TB proving to be a bit of a nuisance here, as in fact now they've got to run Bok. He's going to show up. Wonder Boy getting caught out, has no Astrotip charges. He's going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. The Inkswell, it does connect into the Aether Remnant, and Bok actually finding himself quite low on the Brewmaster, but does have the secondary life with the Aegis anyway. Wouldn't be too worried if he ended up dying. Back into the mid lane, Krish looking to set up, but a rebound, or rather disposes there from a yard. He tries to get his way out, but Krish not going to bother going for any more. Doesn't have the backup on the puck to keep going with the Dream Coil. Instead, will just back his way out. So 10-13, the lead still the way of Atlantis in terms of net worth. Oh, even the kill score still in the way of Atlantis, but it feels like TNC are currently the stronger team.
Yeah, they've got that early spike going their way. I think with the Aegis up, they are just allowed to do a lot more on the map, and it does feel like Atlantis still have to wait for the BKB on Mango Rose. They're not willing to show that Ursa on the map just yet. Need more time to farm up. And they're kind of tied in with some cooldowns. Like, they need to play around WS's Exorcism. They want to take that near an objective. Mid-tier 1 still stands. They need to find a way to pierce through, take that objective away. Just not able to find the angle. Ags up on Wonder Boy, though. This could be the turning point for them in these fights.
Mid lane. Group up, but nobody initiating yet. Link up now on Carlo. That could be massive for the Shaman. And TNC, it looks like they're just going to try and focus down this top tier 2 tower, and you might see the same happen from Atlantis. Pretty standard kind of play here from either side. Nobody really wanting to risk too much here. It does feel like TNC are the ones who could afford to risk with that Aegis up. And in fact, Atlantis, they're the ones to smoke now. They don't want to trade tier 2s. They want to force the fight, but TNC know they're coming because they aren't taking their own tier 2. And now smoke's broken on WS. Mavis, he might still get caught, but the tree jump is there. Still Wonder Boy actually connects onto Mavis, but now the turnaround is there. Krish gonna make the jump in, right in the Wukong's command. And that'll be Mavis gone at the very least, but they do find Wonder Boy surely. Here comes Mango Rose though. Wonder Boy somehow jumping out. He is not going to drop, but the DP will. So they do find WS. In fact, they'll even find a Grimstroke for their trouble. That'll be another. Not a bad fight for TNC whatsoever, as they do come out on top. Atlantis, I mean, it was a decent jump in, but they just don't seem to be able to survive the damage of Yoe.
He's just outting way too much for the Scotty up. It's that point where Ursa can try to jump in with a blink, but Scotty Metamorphosis means that you just get kited around. You can't really dance around this fight. You can't look for softer targets to jump onto afterwards. You're just locked into that full commitment, and without the BKB, it's not very comfy for Mango Rose. The TNC recognizing the spike, find a good fight, get the objective up top. Outpost under their control. Top jungle opening up here, Mike. And, you know, Aegis is not... the Aegis is still up for like 40 seconds. Not the biggest thing in the world for Bok, but he'll have his Hags even after the Aegis is gone. So it will still feel like he has secondary lives for the split. And for Atlantis, well, at least they find Mavis again, but that's just the Sport Monkey you're killing off now. You're not finding anything bigger here for Atlantis' end.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, Mango Rose, he's going to be okay with that with the bonus gold, but definitely not game-changing here for Atlantis. TNC, definitely in a prime position to try and get their way through this game 3 and pull this victory 2-1. He beats down bot. Carlo, he might be able to set up a massive kill onto Mango Rose. Ayard is around to try and help out, and in fact, they don't have the help to back him up. Instead, Bok, mid lane does get silenced, but again, both teams just kind of very wary of each other and just not willing to commit to anything. Just a matter of who wants to pull the trigger first, but it seems like Atlantis are the ones that need to jump in, because TNC, they're just not willing to unless the team fight is on their grounds. Even then, it just seems like they're kind of hoping for one team to make a mistake over the other. Now with the Ags up, maybe you do want to smoke and go as TNC. They have no chance anyway. Dispose is there. Onto the Brewmaster. He's gone. So is Mavis. That was your Ags reveal, by the way, John.
Yep. Not the best feeling in the world there for Bok. Said the timing was there. It feel like he had 2 lives, but nothing defensive to help him live through. Aeon Disc still some time away here for Bok as well. And they managed to equalize the map here on Atlantis, taking that mid-tier 1, invading the triangle for a moment. And that farm up in Mango Rose, you do have a really nice combination with the sidekick on the Ursa, bypassing the need for his own life steal at the moment. But that should also be a consideration down the line. Yoe TPing out of top, knowing he's in danger. Still managing to get a good shove in on the waves with his illusions, of course. But this stalled out game is providing opportunities for both sides. And both sides do have ways of scaling. It does feel favorable for TNC though, because Yoe is going to get really scary on this Terrorblade with the BKB up. It just doesn't feel like your Ursa is going to be able to jump on top and get the damage you want to do onto that Terrorblade. It's just not an easy Ursa game. Maybe when the Basher's up, you don't care too much about that BKB. There will smoke up on TNC's end here though.
Here we go. Mavis, scan up for the team. Atlantis, they're going to back their way out immediately, just seemingly knowing that there's a smoke going on. Really nice timing for TNC as well, considering they've got the BKB on Yoe, but all they're going to be able to do is just take the outpost back instead. No Roshan to play for. They could try to slowly siege high ground. They do have double primal split, but it's not in a position where TNC feel as though they need to be doing any of that. Just slowly try and chip away at the mid-tier 2 instead. And just wait for next Roshan. I suppose as TNC, even if it is against Mango Rose's Ursa, and even if Mango Rose is ahead in net worth, it doesn't seem like TNC take the Ursa too seriously this game with the TB on their end of things. It's very relaxed.
I think they can just kite it. Even with the BKB, they're just confident you can outrange, slow with a Scotty, and still have good presence on the Terrorblade. Very well protected in these engagements. So it's down to Atlantis to show us that they've got a way of jumping that line, getting the chain stuns off, and bursting down the Terrorblade before the BKB can fly on in a prolonged fight. 2k lead stands for Atlantis. Not the biggest in the world, showing that they are still at least getting some progression here and keeping equality on the core matchups. Mango, Rose, and Yoe neck to neck. Krish, Wonderboy neck to neck. The only outlier is WS and Bok, and that's where most of that network lead is hanging on. The Brewmaster has had a slower time, but again, Brewmaster doesn't need much himself, just needs a full Aeon Disc, and you're pretty much all set to just keep splitting and being annoying in these fights.
I do appreciate the fact that like Ponyo's got an Aghanim Scepter going here, John, on the Grimstroke, so you know, stealing that TB illusion, that's going to be very painful for TNC. Bigger Yoe gets, the worse. Live Scotty, always very annoying for the TB as well in that Metamorphosis, and see once he does have the Ags up what he can do with it. Atlantis, they're going to have to buy a bit of time for him to get to that point though. What's Dota Plus saying? Currently actually 61% the way of Atlantis. So even though it feels like they're the ones with the backs against the wall, Dota Plus seems to believe they're actually in the lead.
Interesting. Does feel like maybe it's just factoring net worth. I mean, 2k lead can be pretty nice to have. It's just not massive. I still feel like you're allowing this point where Puck can eventually hit level 25, nullifying the BKBs on Atlantis. You're allowing Yoe to just grow bigger and bigger. Sanj and Yasha up now on the TV. Smoke out here from Atlantis, though. See if, again, they find a bigger opening here.
Yeah, Bok's going to break the smoke. Mango Rose trying to go for a jump in, but not going to be anywhere near the Brewmaster to hope for a bash. Is this going to be another failed team fight between these two? It's certainly starting to feel that way as Atlantis, they're going to back off again. This time, though, like, Roshan's up. At some point, these two teams are going to have to commit. You should know it's up. I suppose they can also just kind of stand on their high grounds and wait very patiently. We are about to hit that 30-minute mark very, very soon, and you always want that advantage going into the Roshan pit. It's the second Roshan of the game, of course, as well.
Just patient here. I think both sides, again, this is game 3 of a series that will determine who's going to be stuck in tiebreakers. So lots of on the line, and neither side want to give openings, right? So it just leads to maybe a little bit more defensive play, waiting for that item build up here, Mike. And TNC is the first one to bucket again, go for a smoke, see if they find something. Atlantis in a good position to kind of break it on the high ground, but they are wrapping around nicely here.
Jump in, Krish, he's there with the Dream Coil. Dispose out from Ayad, but a great boundless strike from Mavis, connecting on 3 targets. They'll at least find the Ursa, I think. Mango Rose, he's going to BKB in range and try to get out of there, but Wonder Boy cannot do the same. He's going to drop. At least they do get the Ursa out. But a really nice boundless strike from Mavis, making the team fight quite difficult. So it is a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of Atlantis for now. But there's your Brewmaster split out from Bok to move back in onto the Death Prophet. WS in a spot of danger here. Zayad gonna try and back his way out. Will do so. They actually can't hold anyone right now. In with the Brewmaster split. In fact, now Atlantis, they'll move back in. Mavis, spot of danger. Still gonna be able to tree jump his way over. Be just fine. And so I suppose Atlantis actually won the team fight.
And they go into Roche. They've got vision here from Mavis. It's a pretty obvious. Oh, nice free cut I had.
Yeah, that's a great rebound. That's a really nice rebound. Into the Roshan they go. Buybacks to come out. Mavis. He'll commit. They'd love the Monkey King here to make sure Roshan does not go down for free. So now TNC are going to try and do it. Roshan, very, very low now. Wonder Boy, he could try for a jump in. In fact, they do commit the jump, but Krish, he's got the Aegis up himself on the puck. Atlantis, they're still going to try and go for the fight. They lose Bok immediately here on TNC's end, and now with the Soulbind, they've held down the Terrorblade. So Mango Rose can get to work, and suddenly, Mango Rose on a double. Might go for a bit more. Looks like they've got him. Krish, get silenced up. That'll be a triple.
Yikes. Full team wipe there, Mike. TNC trying to force the Roshan, not respecting Atlantis' great jump in. And suddenly they find themselves at the 10k deficit. The Ursa's starting to pull ahead. The Basher's doing a lot of work. Like, he's popped the BKBs in both ends, so its Thunder can't come out, but the Ursa has the trump card in Basher. Terrorblade can't really itemize that way. I mean, he can if he wants to focus on melee form. You do want some damage coming in. Mangrove is just recognizing that big opportunity. Like, sure, they lose Aegis. They don't get Aegis themselves. They do get Roshan gold, which also isn't big. But it's just small stuff like that that gives you confidence here on the side of Atlantis, clearing out that tier 2. Could go for high ground, full Abyssal up on Mango Rose. Respawns are short, though. So TNC will be around to kind of stave him off. And Atlantis, again, goes back to playing safe. They've got the Aether Lens up on Ayad, and guess what? Psychic Headband as well, which they will pass on to, I believe, Ponyo. They want that cast range for Soulbind and the Inkspell as well. So you're not going for the ridiculous Psychic Headband range on Dispose.
Oh,
it
no.
looked like, yeah, they pass it to Ponyo.
Why? Like, as if you
Yes,
would've-
Yags.
Yeah.
So
I guess you're right. I guess that is important. It's just, I just love watching the Dispose with the ridiculous range. That's all, John. Like, I just love...
I wish we'd get a game where we'd see Aether Lens and Seer Stone. Marcy, right? Like with this.
Not while you're casting with me, Jonathan. No tier 5 items here, sir.
You just cursed, Mikey.
Yeah.
What can you do?
Call another play-by-play, John. That's your only hope, sir. Atlantis. Well, they've shown off that they've got that Dark Portrait now, at least. Still does a lot of damage in that melee form. Kind of wiping out the creep wave on its own. Oh, still a lot of caution from Atlantis, but they do have a very nice lead, and Dota Plus is really starting to dip their way. Outpost to be taken, and it might be time to try and force high ground. Like, they've got everything apart from an Aegis that they could really ask for.
Exo at the ready. They've got great farm up on Mangroves. They know he can actually stand toe-to-toe on the Terrorblade if he can gap close. And the one great thing about Atlantis' initiation, they're always able to jump in first without forcing the Ursa to show up. So if you manage to bait out the Dream Coil, bait out the Shackles, and then Mangroves just comes in and your disableds aren't there, it's actually pretty easy to still handle Yoet. And BKB versus BKB, Sunder doesn't come through, you bash right through, you feel great in the Ursa. TNC has to find a way to maybe work onto Mangroves first, take away that win condition. And then suddenly your Terrorblade feels a lot better. Or at least, you know, take these fights and save some control for that Ursa before he pops BKB. I think that's the only way Yoet can use his damage up against that Ursa.
TNC, they just split push in the top lane as well, so you're going to kind of be forced to react to this if you are Atlantis. It's one of those things, like you've either got to commit to the high ground or you're defending high ground. No two ways about it. I'll take that Dark Portrait though. Be good enough to get the job done. Always the big positive about the Grimstroke Ags, you could just make the TB illusion, farm a bunch of creep waves with it, force them back that way. Atlantis don't really need to commit huge for a high ground defense at the moment, that's for sure. Smoke up though, TNC. I mean, a 4-man smoke to try and find and pick off Atlantis. Through the mid lane they go. Atlantis, they might just counter smoke. Unless they know that this has happened. In fact, they did have an observer ward in that mid lane, so perhaps they did know that the smoke was popped. Just very patient around that tier 2 mid tower, hoping somebody overextends here from TNC. Well, Mango Rose even trying to bait for the team now. Well, there's your counter smoke out. TNC, immediate retreat once again, apart from Bok. Kind of sticks around, but now realizes they are counter smoked, so will back his way out. A long line being drawn all the way around here. They might still be able to catch out TNC if they're lucky. Wonder Boy is going to have his smoke broken, but Mavis with a Boundless Strike connecting on 4 heroes. Going to put an end to all of it. They are still chasing down the monkey. They'll find the POS 5, but that's about all they're going to get out of this. A lot of commitment, but only a position 5 Monkey King to be taken down.
Yeah, not the big kill they'd want. They were spotted in their smoke by a great ward out from TNC on the ramp. So not the best value there for the side of Atlantis. You do at least manage to get something. In comparison to TNC, they don't find anything for the smokes. You're still kind of better off here for Atlantis, even though it's not the biggest kill. You're at the point now where you do have the Aether Lens and the Psychic Headband on Ponyo, so the Dark Portrait range is ridiculous. Pretty much the entire screen. And you can just kind of keep zapping away, keep taking TB Dark Portraits and equalize lanes. So even the split push here for TNC, not going to be coming out easily for Yoe. Although speaking of Yoe, he does at least have the full Silver Edge flying out, so more output for the TB. Just needs to see again if he can find that good opportunity to face off against Mangaros, try to kite that Ursa around. It just feels like they haven't been able to manage him when he does manage to jump on top.
Atlantis, 15k advantage. Again, waiting for next Roshan. TNC. Kind of just on the back foot, just again waiting for Atlantis to try and make a mistake. Another Dark Portrait being made of the TB illusion. Very annoying now for TNC to try and deal with. As even Bok just copying so much damage from that. Just has to run. Just leave it alone. Get out of there. They actually can't deal with it.
Yeah, too much damage. You've got the little mini crit now with the Silver Edge. So, you have to be a bit cautious. That does give them good scouting here on Atlantis. They know TNC's playing up top. You could try to maybe just shove in bot and mid. Look for that opportunity onto the high ground now. and kind of work at it. So let's see. At this point, they're probably both just waiting for next rush here, Mike. Half a minute away until we see that timer. And into the rush pit they'll both go. Last time around, TNC did manage to find the Aegis, snatching it away, but Atlantis did find that full team wipe. So we'll see if they'll even have to wait. And they are just shoving in.
They're going to try. Carlo, though, top lane's going to try and force them back once again as Atlantis. They are going to move in now. Again, though, I think they are going to be forced to defend that top lane as they do get the glyph off. TP's incoming. Eventually, they'll have to get through the wards. A fair amount of damage being done to the tier 3 and a glyph to be forced out there by Carlo. So, nice little play there from the Shadow Shaman to force the retreat. And it's a great way of kind of defending high ground if you are TNC right now. Roshan's going to be another minute and 40 seconds anyway, so you've got plenty of time to wait. It's TNC. Wonder Boy going to make the jump in onto the Monkey King, but he's kind of on his own. Will force the Primal Split out. Now Coil being committed as well into the Boundless Strike, but a nice rebound away from a Yard. Just getting him out of there. Wonder Boy. He's fine. To TNC, they committed at least a Primal Split as well as a Coil, but it amounts to nothing.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. Both sides are just playing very defensively, not giving any major openings, waiting for Roshan, which is again reminiscent of a little play called "Waiting for Godot." Mike, two guys just sitting around waiting for a guy that doesn't show up.
Yeah.
40 seconds. I mean, eventually Roshan will show up. So there's a bright side to this story here, Mike.
I suppose so, John. This kind of begs the question again. Is there meant to be some kind of other objective in this game to go for at these points, right? Because these teams have been just circling each other for 10 minutes now. Maybe longer. You know, like Roshan goes down and then you just sit there doing nothing.
Yeah, you know, a certain Lord could show up. A
No,
certain Baron could show up.
No. That's not what I was implying, Jonathan. I'm just saying maybe something a bit more interesting than, say, Outposts, which do nothing.
Shrines? Again?
Well, Shrines was actually fun. Shrines were fun.
Yeah. Shrines, along with the talent tree being fresh, minus respawn timer, undying instant respawn. Those were good times.
They were good times, John. There's your Roshan. Scan's going to connect. Atlantis. See, they get Roshan pretty quickly. The thing is, TNT's going to make a jump in and do something about this, but they've lost Mavis. Mavis already down. John, did you even realize, by the way, that there's a telescope available on the Marcy? So, you don't need the Psychic Headband, because now you've got something even better than that.
Beautiful. And you also boost up the range of Ponyo as well.
Yeah.
So his range for Dark Portrait is just perfectly balanced.
Well, actually,
excellent.
I think the main thing you should do is give the telescope over to the Grimstroke and switch those items. Right?
Right. That feels like a play, but you know what? We're not going to question them, Mike. They're the pros. This is what they want. Wait, I just realized Ahiad has the shard on the market. That's why he's kicking Mandragoras forward. We haven't seen that yet. Somehow, throughout all the games you've seen of Marcy, there you go, kick him again. Do it.
That's the shards, huh? That's what you get for 1400 gold. Just a kick in the ass for this poor Ursa.
Yeah, it's just tossing everyone around. It's like, move, you bum, move!
Primal Split was committed. Not gonna mean too much though. The Exorcism's still going here for WS, and they'll move in now with the Inkswell. Another Dark Portrait. TB Illusion doing so much damage, but now the Ursa being caught out, being pushed in by his own Marcy. They're in trouble. Coil's there. 4-staff away, but Yoe will just go all the way and take down the Marcys. The buybacks are going to come in, but now the cavalry is incoming as they've got Mavis down. They even found Yoe. Onto the Shaman they go. More buybacks to be committed this time from TNC Predator. Atlantis, do they want to keep going? They've still got the Aegis up, they've got a new creep wave, but they are feeling a little bit worried, it seems. They are going to try and move in it again with the Ink Portrait. You know what, just with the Portrait alone, you can basically just Rax. You just need to protect it.
And they don't really have any way of clearing it out. Dagon up here for Krish, some more damage on the puck, but not quite enough. Just another set of racks. Forced out the buybacks. No metamorphosis on Yoe. You can't really fight here on the side of TNC without that spell.
Jump in, Wonder Boy. Not gonna land that Aether Remnant. The mid-rack's gone as Bok now has one Primal Split charge if he needs it. Also has the Aeon Disc and it will proc. Meanwhile on the backside, they are trying to chase down this Marcy to force a buyback out from a Yap. But in the mid lane, Yoe has been caught out. Mango Rose all over him with the Abyssal Blade. That's Yoe gone twice here, John. It's up to the Park Krish to keep this fight going. To defend the high ground, but the Dispose is there. Hold him down, take him out. They'll commit more buybacks. It's looking closer and closer to the end of TNC here as this Ursa is just not done. Mango Rose, he's just going to keep going in for more. Enrage is up, move in after Mavis, but he's going to be fine for now. Instead, they'll take down Carlo. They'll go for the Megas. Ayard does go down for the second time in this team fight, but Mango Rose is back in onto the Brewmaster. The Boundless, not going to do too much. Mango Rose does take him down, but Bok will commit buyback now. Pretty sure that's about it for buybacks for TNC. Atlantis, in a 4v3 situation, are going to go through to the tier 4 towers. Krish is just trying to creep skip while he can. So is Mavis on this Monkey King. But they're just going straight for tier 4s. They just don't care. They've got a creep wave into the base and they're just protecting it from these glyph towers. On they go. TNC have to fight this one out. They've got no chance. No choice, rather. The Wukong's is there, but it's a pos 5 Monkey King. It doesn't really do much damage. Tier 4 towers are down now. Atlantis. And for more now is Wonder Boy. In with the Aether Remnant, gonna land onto the Monkey King with the Yule setup. Does take him out. Now the Dream Coil landing on nothing. Dream Coil just landing on absolutely nothing as Krish gets taken out and they call it. TNC, they will not be able to pull off the 2-1 victory. Atlantis make it happen. It's a very long kind of game number 3 here, John, but patience does end up paying off here for the dire end of things.
And they make it work on Atlantis' end. We thought the TB matchup would feel pretty good for the side of TNC, but they managed to get the jump every single time. At Atlantis, they played very well, managed to hit those timing. So just to enumerate our points here again, Atlantis won. They're tied now with MIPH. TNC are now 2-4. And now we have a potential tie. If TNC beats MIPH and if Summit beats Atlantis, there's going to be a 4-way tiebreaker for the last relegation slot. So a lot of tiebreakers could break out here because Atlantis found that win. TNC is going to have to beat our fellow Philippines and MIPH, of course. So that's going to be a bit of a rambulan, and Summit will have to beat Atlantis. But that bottom slot for Div 2 is looking extra spicy, Mike. And before we close out, because we don't have too much time, Div 1 is waiting. There are no tiebreaks outside promotion relegation. The metric system will be used for at least here. And every teams that took part in 2 or 3 will take part in TI qualifiers. Just to clarify from our admin, Nina, this is what they've said. They will have to qualify again for the DPC. But for TI quals, I don't think we have open qualifiers. So they're just in. So that's going to be interesting.
Okay. Are you telling me, John, because we do have to rush off to Div 1, we don't have an interview, or are we...
No interview today.
No interview. Okay. Well, with that, congratulations to Atlantis for pulling off the 2-1 victory against TNC. Of course, if you're in for some exciting SEA Dota, don't go anywhere. This is basically as good as it gets, Jonathan. T1 versus Boom Esports. Don't look at me like that, John. I know what you're thinking, all right? Talon's had enough marketing for today, all right? Boom versus T1 coming up very, very soon for Division 1 of SEA. And by the way, Jonathan, in case, I suppose we can spoil it because it was already spoiled, Boom Esports will have Mushi standing in today. So they already announced it. I believe Skem is currently unwell, so can't participate. Sad for him, but hopefully he gets well very, very soon. Still, Mushi will be stepping in as the POS 5 of Boom Esports tonight against T1. Keep in mind, these are for the final slots of the Major, John. These are no joke. These series, they are not jokes here between these two teams. So let's see how it all pans out. For now, it is MLP Dota and JohnXFire. It's been an absolute pleasure. See you all in Div 1, at least in the chat.